Is that going to affect America's attitude to international competitiveness? Yes, I fear it is, unless politicians have the honesty to deal with the snake oil salesman who suggests that that China gets better off, that must mean automatically that America gets worse off. It's pretty well the reverse of the truth. If China was to get worse off, we'd all be worse off. If there was an economic crash in China, which pray God there isn't going to be, the whole world would catch a very severe cold. But if you turn on the CNN news on the East Coast in America at 6 o'clock in the evening, you get Mr. Lou Dobbs on the television, who will tell you that the American middle class is being hollowed out by immigration of lots of Mexicans and South Americans, and by exports flooding the market from lots of people in China and Asia who are robbing Americans of their jobs. Immigration, trade. It happens to be the combination of policies which were pursued by Herbert Hoover in the 1930s with disastrous consequences. So I very much hope that the President of the United States will take on those in Congress and the Senate and the media who argue for protectionism. Protectionism protects losers. It doesn't create gainers. And I've never seen why it is that any politician should think that we should preserve jobs in low-paid industries rather than retrain people for jobs in better-paid industries. Secondly, how does this all affect the balance of economic power? Well, that's been shifting. It's been shifting in the direction of the emerging economies, China, India, Brazil, and others. There's a lot of talk at the moment about changing the global financial architecture. You're all going to get fed up to the back teeth with reading about the global financial architecture. And presidents and prime ministers will jet off to conferences at which they discuss the global financial architecture, because it's much easier than staying at home and dealing with some of the consequences of the financial crash in higher unemployment and lower domestic demand. But there are some aspects to global economic governance which have to change. If you're asking China, if you're asking some of the Arab League states to put more money into the IMF to bail out countries around the world, then you can't expect those countries which are writing bigger checks to do so without having a bigger share in the policy making. And at present, the IMF, the World Bank, like the UN in a different way, reflect the world as it was in 1945. So there has to be a shift which recognizes that the world isn't run by the G7, who politely invite India and China and Brazil and one or two others in for a cup of coffee after lunch. There has to be a more fundamental understanding that the transatlantic community, while it still represents more than 50% of global output, can't dominate the global agenda on politics or economics to the extent that it has for the last 50 years.